So we previously discussed the concept that the parole evidence rule excludes contemporaneous and prior communications from consideration by the court in interpreting the terms of the contract. Now, there are exceptions to the parole evidence rule that generally apply. First off, that parties may be able to introduce outside or extrinsic evidence to show that the contract itself is not a full integration, that it's a partial integration, and that outside or extrinsic evidence was intended to be included as part of the contract. Now, this generally wouldn't be allowed to be used to change or rebut a integration clause that is expressly included in the agreement, stating that the parole evidence rule applies and that no outside evidence should be included. But if that's not present, like I say, this outside or extrinsic evidence could simply be used to show that it is a partial integration and not a complete integration. Second, there may be an ambiguity in the contract that needs to be interpreted, and this extrinsic evidence can demonstrate that there is an ambiguous term. There's a latent ambiguity in the way a provision is worded or said, and this evidence can demonstrate what the meaning is. So in that situation, the court may allow in this extrinsic evidence to explain the term and to resolve the ambiguity in the contract. Again, in this situation, it's being used for an interpretation purpose. You may use that extrinsic evidence contemporaneously or previously prior to the execution of the contract to show that there was a subsequent contract in the works or intended at the time, so that a subsequent agreement came about or arose that some way changes or supersedes the existing agreement. You could introduce extrinsic evidence to demonstrate any level of fraud, duress, misrepresentation, undue influence, etc., that in some way affected the party's ability to knowingly enter into the contract in that way, so it could make the contract itself avoidable by the party itself. So again, any of these exceptions could apply, but would be contrary to the parole evidence rule and would still allow in some outside evidence for consideration by the court in interpreting the contract.